Welcome to Inside Design with Kandrac and Kole, hosted by two nationally published Atlanta interior designers, Joanne Kandrac and Kole. These energetic women are also world travelers, charity givers, and bloggers with a wealth of information to share and stories to tell about the interior design world. Okay, now just a warning, this is going to be fun and not too serious. After all, they still do have an interior design business running at full speed.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Inside Design with Kandrac and Kole. I'm Joanne Kandrac, and today we are going to be talking about our charity work. We feel the need to use our talents for other things that can be rewarding. Helping those less fortunate to have a sense of home has been a goal and a mission for Kandrac and Kole. And luxury can mean a lot of different things to different people. And so whether it's a 600 thread count sheet or having a bed, it means different things to different people.
So today we're going to talk to you about how making generosity is part of our growth strategy at Kandrac and Kole and how we kind of got into it. Because for me, I didn't grow up in a philanthropic household. Did you?
No.
Yeah. I mean, I had great parents, so I don't want to diss them. But like in high school, we didn't do anything. In college, I was even in a sorority and I don't even remember.
Yeah, my
doing
level
anything.
of volunteering, was like Girl Scouts, it was outside of my house.
Right. Yeah. So I just didn't think about it. That's so sad to say. But so when we first got involved in our first project, it was really due to Joanne getting involved.
It just kind of came up. It's kind of a sad story. There was a mother of two children who was a victim of domestic violence, and I had friends of this young girl, and what happened was these two children, 2 and 11 months old, were going to have to go live with their parents because the grandparents, the father was going to jail, and she had lost her life. So friends of friends reached out to me and said, these grandparents are going to have to kind of rearrange their house. They've already raised their kids are out of the house, and they're going to probably need a little bit of help. Would you mind helping them? And this little Emma is really into princesses, and can we maybe just paint the room pink or do something like that? So I was very glad that they reached out. It was very nice. I was happy to help, and so I just reached out to a few people, and I was blown away about how many people contacted me. Said, "What can I do?" There's an artist that we use, Jay Scott, here in Atlanta, and I did not know him, and he reached out and said he'd love to paint something for this little girl's room. And so I went to his website, and it was beautiful, kind of abstract art. And I was like, oh my God, this is a princess room. I don't know how to say that maybe that won't work. And I didn't want to turn him down. And, I then found out he can paint anything, and he painted the most beautiful, beautiful princess. So
did you originally? I can't remember. Did you put it out on Facebook that you were
tackling
this?
Actually, Barbara English, who is kind of
she was rallying the design trade.
Yeah, very involved in the design trade. And so I had put something, I think, on Facebook, and then she shared it. So I had all kinds of people reach out to me.
I remember now.
Closet Factory said, we can build bookshelves for her. People donated books. People donated. My brother and sister-in-law, their little girl had grown out of this Cinderella carriage bed, which, oh my God, like any kid would just, So I wrote a blog about it. You can read it. It's called My Good Deed. And it just talks about how after we had done that project, it was so great. It felt so good. And even though it was just a bedroom, this is going to be this girl, starting her new life in this new house.
That's so awesome. So then we got the bug. Mm-hmm. And so then the next year, was the next year in 2012, we had two designer friends, Erica Ward and Dacre Robinson, reach out to us, and they had this organization that they had launched themselves a few years prior called Room Service Atlanta. And their goal was to take designers and their love of design and pair that with a commitment to serving others.
In the communities.
Yes. And they had partnered with United Methodist Children's Home.
Yes.
So we were asked the first year to design. There was a whole bunch of designers involved, and this is, if you haven't heard of the United Methodist Children's Home in Decatur, it's awesome. It's this big campus, and they have all these different houses, and we were doing a boys' lounge, which was in this pretty big house that was part of the independent living program, where these boys that are 17, they're aging out of the foster care system,
Right.
but
And
they
most
still
of
don't
the-
have anywhere to go.
Most of them have been in foster care their entire lives.
Yes. I mean, imagine this. You've been in foster care your whole life. You're finally 17, 18 years old, but where are you going to go? You still don't have parents or anywhere to go. So this was kind of a way for them to prepare for independence.
Mm-hmm. And United Methodist Children's Home, they support them educationally. They find employment opportunities for them. They get the medical and mental health if needed. So it's an amazing program to be a part of.
So we did the coolest lounge for them, and it was red and white. It was very Atlanta themed. It was red and white, and we had this big black leather sofa. And
Leather Creations donated that,
Yeah.
which was a beautiful sofa, but the highlight was the Steve Penley, if you're familiar with that artist. We did it kind of in an Atlanta theme, and he painted a Coke bottle, which of course we had to have nailed. I mean, like security mounted.
Yeah. But the greatest thing about this, and I think this is when my mentality towards really doing all this charity work changed. And I'll never forget the lady at United Methodist Children's Home saying, these boys have never been surrounded by these kind of aesthetics. They've never been in a room that is professionally decorated, and they're not even used to having lampshades. A bulb hanging from the ceiling is sufficient. And I'm thinking, oh my gosh. And here we've got bookcases filled with books and desks and art and pillows on the sofa and rugs, and and the lady said, our goal in partnering with you guys and with Room Service Atlanta is for these boys to see what this kind of environment is, to help them aspire
And
to bigger and better things.
To want them for themselves.
But to know that they're worthy of that kind of home.
Yeah. Yeah. And you can read, we read a lot of blogs on this, and we even have a charity page on our website, kandrac-kole.com, that you can, read all about that. But also at the United Methodist Children's Home, the year later, they had like a girls' was it called a girls' cottage? Anyway, there were little efficiency units that the girls lived in, and it was dark paneling. It was really, really bad. And so we, once again,
our painters, Virgin Associates, they went in. Remember, they painted the entire thing, including the cabinets.
We did some really fun artwork. It was kind of a blue and green. It was just
the vintage bathing suits on the wall. It was very retro.
Yeah. Yeah. So that was, another thing. Great rewards from doing stuff like that.
Yeah, I really love that. So then that kind of fizzled. Well, it just ended. Deka and Erica went on to bigger and better things, and Room Service Atlanta was no more. So then the next thing that kind of came down the pike, and I don't even remember how.
Well, Dallas is I think Dallas's design world is a lot like Atlanta. It's pretty big. Design is a very big part there. And so two girls started Dwell with Dignity in 2009. Their name is Lisa Robeson and Kim Turner. It's amazing. It's a really very well thought out charity. They help families, who are poor and homeless.
Mostly single moms and their little kids.
Yes. So their goal, if you go to their website, dwellwithdignity.org, their goal is bringing good design to those less fortunate, inspiring them to maintain a standard of living they can be proud of and thrive in, just like what we were talking about with the boys.
Yeah.
Creating inspiring home interiors with the labor of dedicated volunteers and generosity of donors. And it's a very well-oiled machine, too. They have locations where people can donate furniture. Then they have teams that will paint the furniture. And they work mostly in apartments, and different designers do different rooms.
So what they do is they partner with these local social service agencies that have these programs in place to take families from homelessness and poverty to self-sufficiency. So they nominate these families that have made this commitment, because they have to be committed to self-sufficiency and changing their lives and getting jobs. And
it gives them a head start, but they have to be in the right place you
Yeah,
know,
they
to
have to be
receive
making
this.
their way.
They have to
Yeah.
be able to, yeah.
So a lot of times a family has received all the counseling and training and support from these agencies, and they're almost there, but they're just struggling to get to that next step so that they can thrive. And that's where Dwell with Dignity comes in.
So they've gotten to that point. They need a security deposit for an apartment, and they may not have really any furniture. They may have some mattresses. So the point is to get them from like 0 to 100. So, everything is done really catered to them. Usually there's a couple children involved, and they go as far as filling the refrigerator and freezer with food completely. A special dinner for them the day, the night of that reveal, and then they do a photo shoot, a little bit ahead of time, and then all those photos are then put in frames and displayed around the apartment.
So we weren't involved with anything in Dallas, but a couple years ago, Dwell started an Atlanta chapter, and it has taken a while to really get off the ground, but we were a part of the very first one, and it was a mom and her 2 little girls. They were 3 years old and 18 months at the time, and she had this little 2-bedroom apartment, and we walked in, and it
had like 4 pieces of furniture in it.
I mean, if that. It was empty. It wasn't clean. It was just ooh, and here we come. I think how many designers did we have involved? Like 8 maybe.
8.
And so we were in charge of the little girls' room.
It was kind of neat though. Here's the power. This is the power of social media. I had forgotten about this. So Kelly and I are there the day of the install, and there's a girl.
Oh yeah.
Who was in the kitchen wiping down the cabinets and cleaning everything out. And so when we walked in, she came over. She said, "I want to introduce myself. I follow your blog, and I read." Months ago that you were going to be doing this project, and I wanted to. I'm a designer, and I moved here from I don't remember where.
Yeah.
And I wanted to get involved back in the design community, but I have 2 kids. I can't really go back to work full time, but I really kind of wanted to do something. And I read your blog where you had mentioned needing volunteers for this project. So here she had come there that day to clean, but she just wanted to be a part of it. So, I felt like that was really,
That was awesome.
we changed her life a little bit.
Yeah.
So once again,
Everybody came out of the
everybody
woodwork.
came out of the woodwork to help us. It was the cutest little room.
It was painted pink, and it had bunk beds and a crib that Woodstock Furniture Outlet had donated, and J. Scott did the most beautiful original art.
Yep.
Oh.
Yep. Lamps from Curry. I mean, there's just the tried and true vendors that just always seem to show up. Sugar Boo Designs donated a beautiful little blanket that had a beautiful
Quote on it.
Yeah, poem on
Steve
it.
McKenzie donated fabric for the window treatments.
Yep.
It was amazing. And I wasn't at the reveal because my daughter was graduating from college at the time, or high school. It was some big event. I would have never missed this. But
I hate that Kelly missed
I know.
it because it was, the girl walked in, and of course she, extreme home makeover. They're so excited to see it, and it always amazes me to see how emotional people really get. I mean, you can just tell that she was so overwhelmed. And, we're walking her from room to room, and there was a guy who was, videoing it, and people were taking photos. I have some great photos on the blog. One especially when she walked into the bedroom that we did for her 2 little girls, and there was the painting there, and the 2 little girls are holding hands, and you can see the back of them. And they love dance and dress up, and so he drew like these tutus, and when she saw that, she just kind of gasped, and she fell to the ground and just started crying. And that I sit here and think, like, God, 30-40 years from now, she will have that painting, and she will look back in that and think about that time in her life and how she was given such a new lease on life.
Yeah. And so we connected with her on Facebook at the time, and she's still thriving and doing great.
She wrote a book. She wrote a book about her life, how to make a bird sing, I think it's called. I read it, in a couple days. It was so great. Great.
So we are so excited because the Atlanta chapter is still growing, and we are back in the game in September. We're joining up with several of our designer friends, and we're going to tackle another home. We don't know any of the details yet, what the situation is, how old the kids are, even where we're going to be in Atlanta. But we know that we'll be shouting out to our gifters and our angels above and transforming a home for this mommy.
Yeah. And what the thing is, Kelly and I were just both talking about how we didn't really grow up in these philanthropic things, and I feel like I'm probably affecting my daughters who see me doing this and going to Guatemala.
And your granddaughter.
Yeah. And so I think we're, like the next generation can see that this is something that you can do and it feels good to do it.
Feels so good.
Now, Guatemala, this is near and dear to our heart, and this is all because of Kelly. She gets all the credit. She was the one who decided to come out of her comfort zone and make this trip, and I'll let her tell you kind of how she got started.
Well, I'll try to make it really quick, but basically I was kind of struggling with some stuff in my life many years ago, and I went to church for the first time since I was a kid, and our church was having a mission trip to Guatemala, and I thought, well, that's absolutely terrifying. Who would want to do that? And then I thought, oh, maybe I should do that. And so I ended up going. I dragged my friend Dina with me. And long story short again, but karma, the stars align. We talk about that a lot on the show. And while I was there, I met this couple, Fontaine and Paula Green, who are from Florida, and they live in Guatemala, and they run an organization called Catalyst Resources International that is a registered nonprofit that works with missionary groups that come there, and they house them and feed them and help them with projects and help them join them with the Guatemalan people.
The greatest people in the world. You really need to check out their website. It's Catalyst, Catalyst resources.net.
Yeah, and they're just the coolest, most normal, casual people. And I thought, oh, this is so fantastic. I said to myself, I'm going to come back here next year, but I'm going to come kind of without the restraints of my church. I'm just going to gather a group. I'm a pretty good salesperson. I've got the energy. I'm just going to come, and we're going to figure out something. So the first year, what did I have? 7 people, and all women.
I was afraid.
And
Joanne was afraid.
I was afraid. She was afraid for a couple of years, but now she comes every year.
I think
she's a trooper.
If she can do this 2 or 3 years in a row,
yeah. Let's see if she can go one more time.
If she can do it, I guess I can do it.
Yeah. So I gathered a couple designer friends, and we built our first house, and it was amazing. So last year we had 27 people. We built 3 houses, and but the thing about it is, so CRI, what they do is they partner with the Guatemalan pastors and the churches in these tiny villages, and then they organize the Christian organizations that are coming from the United States and all over to CRI and join them up together. So they do a whole lot of different projects.
Yeah, so when building the house, the concrete slab is already poured and ready for when we get there. Mm-hmm. All of the building materials and the wood is all there. Everything is in place. So when the teams come, there's a foreman who kind of directs everybody, and that's then we build the home. We're
cutting all the wood. Mm-hmm. We are
hammering.
Oh boy, we can swing a hammer. Mm-hmm. We can. It's impressive.
Yeah, and so all the kids in the village. I mean, these villages are so poor. I mean, it's really, really sad.
It's hard to describe it. I just, you can go onto the blog, and if you search Guatemala, you'll see all the blogs I've written, and it's just really hard to paint a picture for you, but all I can say is it's poverty that I have never witnessed in the United States or any other place I've ever been. And
you've got a family of 7 or 8 people sleeping on the dirt floor
in a tin shack. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's nothing like I've ever seen. So we're building homes, churches, chicken coops, feeding programs, supporting medical and dental clinics. So there's a whole lot that
visiting an orphanage, House of Hope, which is an amazing orphanage there too. But I will never forget, this was my first trip, and we built a home for a family. It was a mother with 5 children. There was not a man in this situation.
There rarely is.
There rarely is, yeah. And so, we were building for the 3 days, and then at the end, they do a dedication. The pastor dedicates the house. They give the key to the mother, and says a prayer and everything. And while he was speaking, a lot of people, our heads are down and they're looking, and I just happened to look up at the mother, and she was standing there with her hands folded in front of her, and there were tears in her eyes, but our eyes met, and I get choked up even thinking about it. Yeah. Our eyes met, and there was this connection of her eyes said thank you, or it was just from a mother to a mother. We had changed her life and her children's life for good. So that there's no There's no way to describe that, really.
Yeah. So we, and this has been, I think this has been really great for our business because it's shown people another side of us, but also for both of us, but me especially, I'm very type A. Stop it. I'm OCD. I stop. I'm just being honest. I'm revealing things about myself. But anyway, it drives a lot of anxiety, yada, yada. And I just, this has been really healthy for me. My priorities are in check. My head is on straight. I'm just grateful for every day. I'm not going to sweat the small stuff because I remember these people and how they live.
And the thing is, when we get there, you kind of do really check out. Like email, we kind of say, we're kind of, we may check it sporadically for an emergency or whatever, but we definitely check out. And that's really good for you to walk away from, your stresses of everyday life and to just be in a completely different place for a week. You come back really energized.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm so relaxed when we get back, even though we did a lot of hard labor. Mm-hmm. So we are going again this year. I think we're going to have a team of 16. We are going from June 9th to the 16th. And if you'd like to help us, we have set up a GoFundMe account, which we do every year because the house costs about $3,500 to build. And then this year we're also going to do a shoe program where we're going to try to outfit every child and mother and father in the little village that we're working with a new pair of shoes. So if you go to GoFundMe.com and you just search Kandrac and Kole in Guatemala, you will see our page. It'll be filled with pictures and stories and it'll show our goal. And if you'd like to donate, that would be fantastic. If not, just pray for our safety and that we change lives while we're there.
Yeah, and over the next, couple of months too, we'll be, posting things on Facebook and Instagram, updates on Guatemala, and then also our project that we're going to be working on with Dwell with Dignity in September.
Yes, so we'll keep you all updated. Okay. So I think it's time for our quote at the end of our little session here. So here we go. Think today is just another ordinary day. You woke up. Your heart is beating. You can talk to anyone. You can try anything. Your day has infinite potential. Now that's something to celebrate. Lori Desheen.
I love it.
I love that.
It's
I know.
So true.
It's true. And I think that that's what all of our charity work has helped us with is just really being grateful every single day for all of our blessings and to not sweat the small stuff.
Very true.
Yep.
Okay, so today's the big day. Right after we leave here, we are headed to Hilton Head to install that amazing beach house that we talked about. So next week, we are going to be talking about tricks of the trade. Mm-hmm. Little things we've learned over the years, ways to make things simpler and just
your home better. And we're not afraid to share. Yeah, we'll teach you. Just keep listening. Yep. So that's it. Off we go to Hilton Head. Okay. So thanks so much for tuning in, everybody.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Join Joanne and Kelly weekly for a lively conversation about trends, travels to industry events, current design projects, the good, the bad, and the ugly, do's and don'ts, product recommendations, and more. Be sure to follow the fun on Facebook. They're on Instagram at Kandrac Kole, and of course, you've got to visit them online at kandrac-kole.com for more information.